What's up everyone, this is CoyneDawg here with another GTA video. So in this video we're going to be doing another episode of my head-to-head series, and we've got the Nero Custom up against the Itali GTB. So this isn't the custom Itali GTB, it's the normal one. So first up we've got the 2 mile drag, as we did last week with the RE7B and the Tempesta. So what I've done this week is I've split the screen so you can see these two next to each other. Now this test is actually really interesting because what you might not be able to see it too much because it's that close. But what basically happens is on this test is the initial getaway and the acceleration of the Itali GTB is better than the Nero Custom, and then as we get right up towards the other end you'll see the gap that's formed is slowly going to close back up again because obviously the Nero Custom's got a much better top speed. But yeah, it's quite interesting how this race goes and just how close it actually comes out at the end. If it had been a little bit longer, I think obviously the Nero Custom would have won, but so 0.02 of a second quicker for the Itali GTB there over the Nero Custom. It was very close. So the second test we've got is bridging the gap. So this is the bumpy street circuit with the mainly low speed corners. So this, I wasn't really sure when I did this which one would suit this track the most. So we started out with the Nero, and I'll just say now about the Nero. The Nero is like the ultimate car for your average driver in my opinion. It's so easy to drive well. You know, I picked this up and I must have done about 10-12 laps in it, and I was getting similar lap times to what the ultimate best lap time that I got out of it was. It's just a dream to drive, and if you're looking for just you know a supercar that can do most things well, then this is it. You know, it's got a reasonable top speed, it's got reasonable acceleration, it corners well. You know, it's stable, it doesn't easily spin or skid or anything like that. It is just a nice car to drive. It reminds me of the Jester race car from the sports car class. It's that sort of car, so if you're looking for another supercar, then I would definitely recommend this one. So that was the Nero's lap, and then we'll go on to the Itali GTB. So this was a lot more difficult to get a good lap time out of. It's probably the most difficult of the 4 I've done so far. I did like, I don't know, like 80 laps or something with this car to get a decent lap time. There was always something I wasn't quite happy with, and the one thing I will say about this, you know, as you've seen, it's got very good acceleration. The top speed isn't quite as good, but that doesn't matter as much on this track. But then you've got the big thing that this has over a lot of other vehicles is its brakes are far better than, well, they're certainly better than the Neros, and I'm sure they're better than the Tempestas and the RE7B as well. I really had to adjust my braking areas a bit. So if you're on a track that you can out-brake people in, then this car is probably a good one to have. Because it's a lot more difficult to drive, so it takes some taming, but if you can outbrake people into corners and stuff like that, you will be able to make some overtakes with it, as long as you can drive this thing, which, as I said, is a little bit more of a challenge, but you know, it's no fun just driving a car that's easy to drive all the time. So the results, however, the Nero Custom was 0.75 of a second quicker than the Itali GTB, so that's a trophy for the Nero Custom. And then the very last test we've got for today is docked points. So this is the smooth stunt circuit with mainly mid-high speed corners. So as I've mentioned in previous videos, the reason I do these tests is because I don't just want to show you how a car performs on one circuit, because every circuit is different. So we've got one circuit that's mainly made up of low speed corners and it's a bumpy street circuit, and then we've got this one which is very much a smooth circuit with mainly higher speed cornering. There is some slow speed corners on here as well, but the majority of them are high speed corners. And again, as you would expect, the Nero just eats this track up for breakfast, to be honest. Especially through this section here, the Nero just handles really well through it, whereas the Itali GTB was quite difficult to get right through that section. Obviously this straight goes well towards the top speed of the Nero. I think it probably will get up to its top speed before we get to the end of the straight. So but yeah, so there's not really much else to say on the Nero, to be honest. It is, I would probably say after testing these cars, it's probably my favourite supercar in the game. I'm definitely going to be using it more often. I didn't even own one until last week when I did the paint job video, and now, as I said, it's probably my favourite supercar. So if we go on to the Itali GTB, again, it was easier to get a good lap time out of on this track because it's so smooth. It's a little bit a little bit skittish, the Itali GTB, over bumps and that sort of thing. Or it seemed to feel that way to me, which was why I struggled so much to get a decent lap time out of it on the other track. So on this one, where you just look driving on a flat track, it is a lot easier to get a good lap time out of. This section here, as I said, it was quite difficult to get right in the Itali GTB because it just doesn't grip as well, and its turning is not as good as the Nero, which I was a little bit surprised by, to be honest, because the Nero is obviously a bigger car. You would expect its turning not to be that great, but it is better at turning, or it feels better to me at turning than this car is. And just for anyone that's not aware, the Itali GTB is actually quicker than the custom version, which is why we're testing that in here. But yeah, both nice cars, nice cars. I did enjoy doing this testing. So in terms of the results, though, the Nero is considerably quicker than the Itali GTB, so over a second quicker around this circuit. So it gets another little trophy, so that makes the Nero the winner by two tests to one. But I mean, in reality, that test one was so close, you know, it would not be worth buying an Itali GTB over a Nero for that reason. So if you're going to buy one, I would definitely recommend you buy the Nero Custom over the Itali GTB. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this testing, and I'll be back on probably Sunday with the situational testing video. Thanks very much.